And we're back, people. Deluded. I'm back again. I got my guy Luke in the building. We always do content and speak with Arsenal, but it's nice to have him back on the platform, especially because, simply put, I rate his opinions, man. How you doing, my boy? You good?
I appreciate that, bro. Good to be back on. I think we've got a lot to talk about.
We got a lot to talk about, man. And you know what? Yeah, the first thing I want to speak about actually isn't Brighton or obviously the result against Chelsea or any of that kind of stuff. The first thing I want to talk about is you're actually perfect to be here. You work in the media, yeah, and I just want to know and just see where your headspace is at. Why is Arsenal like? Why is there so much hate around our club? Like, why is there so much hate around our club? Why do you feel like, if you do feel like this, that is in that? It's like more people commit to hating Arsenal than supporting their own boys, man. But where are you at with that? That's the first thing I wanted to ask a fellow Gooner, man.
It's an interesting question because I was having a chat, I won't name, with a presenter in the office yesterday about this very thing. And he's under the illusion that people don't actually believe it. So people think it's more funny. If you said to someone, would it be funny if Arsenal don't win the league? Everyone would say, yeah, it's funny if Arsenal don't win the league, considering the way it's been to win the trophy. But if you ask people, this is what this person said. He was like, if you ask people who would they rather win the league, Arsenal or City, people wouldn't be that bothered if Arsenal did win the league, because no one really wants to see Manchester City win the league. So it depends what you talk to. But I think it just goes back to the George Graham days. I think everyone hates Arsenal. And I also think it's just a system of where we are in the times of Arsenal Football Club. I was talking on Sky yesterday about the Chelsea game, and I said that it's funny because that Chelsea game reminded me of roles reversed between Arsenal and Chelsea like 10, 15 years ago. I thought Arsenal was just physically stronger. And Chelsea played some good football. Arsenal used to play good football, still do, but Arsenal played good football in those times. But when push came to shove, Arsenal didn't really win away at Stamford.
Cool.
And, the likes of Drogba, Terry, Essie and Lampard, they were just physically stronger than us. I think people just don't like that. I think people don't like the fact that Arsenal are now a team that are competing. They're a team that are actually really good. When you look at Europe, people look at Arsenal as the project. When people talk about Mikel Arteta, it's not just the manager, it's the innovator. When he sits down on these talks with professional people in the space as well, everyone just doesn't like it. Everyone wants to see Arsenal be that Arsenal again, where they just hide and then the same old Arsenal. But this time, there is a little bit of a change. And let's be honest, right? And I'm going to say it.
Say it, man. Listen, don't pull no punches, man.
There is a degree of jealousy because we talk about this all the time. Trophies are so important. They are so important. We all know that. But you know what really is important? Stability, culture, environment. And everyone that is talking, Chelsea fans, Tottenham fans, Manchester United fans, even though they're doing well under Michael Carrick right now, everyone wants that stability. Everyone wants a culture. Everyone wants to look forward to going to games. And let's be honest, winning every week is actually hard to do. It's hard to pick up 3 points. But the journey we've been on and the expectations have changed over time. Now we're in a position where we need to win to validate everything about this project. Now, say we don't win everything, right? Say we don't win anything. Okay?
Then we have to hold the bands. Fair play.
You have to hold the bands. But you know what? It's actually been really nice to support it because you can look back and go, do you know, enjoy the moments. I know it's hard to say that, but you look back and go, it was a wonderful time. It was a shame we didn't get anywhere. Let's go again. But if you look at other teams, we talk about Chelsea. I talk about Chelsea. When I was growing up, right, under Abramovich, Chelsea never went back-to-back seasons without winning something. Do you know how unbelievable that is? They never went back.
And even if you won something as a manager, if you fucked about in the first 10 games, you could have been gone.
Yeah, there you go, right? And it's a cultural thing because it suits them. But now these Chelsea fans have got a new version of Chelsea. It's hard for them to digest. They don't like it. Manchester United, look at what's happening behind the scenes at Manchester United, even now, right? It's crazy to see, Spurs have got this multi-billion-pound infrastructure behind them with the stadium and, what Daniel Levy did as a businessman. Okay, it hasn't reflected on the pitch. But now they want the same. They want to go back. They want Poch back. Look what happened under Poch. It was week in, week out, winning games. Okay, they didn't get anywhere.
They went unbeaten at their place as well, to be fair.
So there is a degree of jealousy, and everyone likes to poke fun at Arsenal. I don't know why. It might have something to do with the fan base as well. But I think that's largely overplayed. I think it happens in every single fan base.
Yeah. No, let's touch on that because that kind of touches into the comment on screen. Like, do you think Arsenal fans bring it on themselves, especially those on social media?
look, yes and no. I think you get it in every single fan base, to be brutally honest. I think lots of football fans are actually quite rational. I firmly believe that. I always believe that because I think it's who you surround yourself with. Now, listen, if people come to me and say, I want Arteta to go, I'd be like, okay, that's absolutely fine. But lay down your reasoning. And if you're going to come with that, have an alternative manager in mind. So when we have a conversation, you go, I think this said player would work better under this manager. And I think this manager would come in and do this with the team. And I think that is the best way to win the Premier League. Now, if you say it like that, got no problem with that. That's your opinion. Football is a game of opinions. No one's going to agree with everything you say, right? We'll probably disagree at times. I'm sure Arsenal fans will always disagree. What I don't
The
like,
beauty of football debate and discourse, and in life, in fact, if I'm honest,
I think it would be a very strange world if everyone agreed with everyone, right?
boring.
It makes the world goes. Opinions matter, right? But if you say I want Arteta out, but it's, and I get it, it's emotion. It's been a long time. I get that, but sometimes it's just saying it for the sake of saying it, just to be heard. But there's no real substance to your argument. I think that happens in every fan base. Declan Rice touched on it accidentally at that interview recently after Man United I think it was last season, didn't he? He said, "Oh, there's two sets of fan base. There's the chronic online fan base, and then there's the match going fan base." I don't know if he should have said it like that and articulated it like that, but I think people just want to see Arsenal win. And sometimes,
it's those that live in reality in the real world, whether you go to games or you're in another part of the world, or you're just, like you said, chronically online. I do feel there's a lot of football fans here that don't watch games, just watch highlights, go about their day. They just see the reactions on the notifications on their phone and run their agendas accordingly. And don't get it twisted. I believe, because you spoke about opinions, there should be balance. There's spots for banter. There's spots for a genuine analysis, giving it and going and with other fans of clubs that support other teams. But I do feel, it goes too far. And I hear it. Arsenal fans, football fans, they're special fans online, innit? It's obviously going to be magnified because Arsenal are one of the most followed clubs online. Obviously, I would say like a Man United is probably second. It's going to drive traction. But if you look at it, the ones that are online talking the most and saying we're going to do that, they're already outnumbered by Arsenal fans that are quite rational. And then also that if you were, for argument's sake, to say all Arsenal fans are irrational, the whole world is talking about us, so we're outnumbered. So that noise is kind of being clouded out. And one thing I don't like is, by all means, I want the smoke. If we win, praise. If we lose, criticism. If we've been bigging up our team and things don't happen, it is what it is. But one thing I hate is gaslighting. When we used to get bullied, like Marco Alonso clearing out Bellerin, Ramsdale bullied at set pieces, several examples, Brentford up when they first came up, people said we need to be a bit colder, we need to be a bit street smart and things of that ilk. So you buoyed us for not doing that, you're buoying us for doing it. And then when I look at, this week will be dominated around set pieces and dead balls. Arsenal ruined football. I remember hearing that around Pep. If Arsenal were just Stoke City, there's 19 more teams in the Premier League. So if you're all following us, more for you. And when you look at it, every team is doing this set piece thing. David Moyes is moaning about, crowding around the goalkeeper. Look what they were doing against Man United. So don't gaslight us. Everybody is trying to get fair advantages. Obviously, maybe at the end of the season, there's got to be a different rule. And then obviously you throw things in like, Mikel Arteta, he's called arrogant and things like that. Every manager's got a degree of arrogance in it, but I don't see it. It's like you say the same things a lot of the times and it becomes the truth. Mikel Arteta dare step out of his box or his technical area, there's a lot of smoke. Other managers their team can score and they can leg it and join in the celebrations as they should, and nothing is said. So for me, it's the gaslighting, it's the double standards, it's the evident pylon, and there is a degree of disingenuousness because we both work in media. Arsenal is clickbait central. Arsenal is going to get engagement. We're obviously fighting for a title and things of that ilk. But when you look in the present day in the Premier League, the ball's in play less. There's more goals from set pieces and dead balls than there's ever been. Man are getting praised for throw-ins and things. And even like the media language, like Liverpool are being labelled set piece kings for obviously when they were doing whatever. We was kind of chastised for that. And I think it's a bit disingenuous against with the Chelsea game, because there's a couple of weeks we're scoring from open play. And we were second at that point for goals from open play. Now you're doing it's all corners and all these kind of things. Like corners are illegal. And I think it's disingenuous, my boy, because you've got to go from one end to the other pitch to earn a corner. Don't give us those corners. And obviously, why would you change something that doesn't need fixing? And I think Granit Xhaka said it's like when it's Arsenal, everyone's on us. You mentioned it. You know, I do think it's George Graham. I do think it's a bit that Arsene Wenger was the first kind of foreign manager, and we all saw that kind of thing. I do think in society, Arsenal Football Club, you know, you go and talk to a lot of people whose family came over to this country. Yeah, Arsenal Football Club was one of the one places they went and watched Arsenal and didn't feel like an outsider. I'm not saying that's the only reason, but you throw in everything you've said and I said, and you mix it together in a bowl. That's kind of the cocktails of the issues, and then it's like they'll cut us and ask us, bro, why we bleeding. That's what I don't like, bro. Like, it's jarring.
Yeah, I mean, if we go way back, you're right. You know, we talk about what Wenger did, you know, how he changed the culture and the narrative of English football. And like you said, people don't like change. We saw it even saw it in Chelsea in 05. You know, when Mourinho came in, and everyone didn't like that as well. And football always changes, and football adapts over time. And that's ironic because one thing Arsenal have done is actually adapt, and they've evolved, and they play football in the current times, in the current situation. And you're right. You know, that's the bit I don't like is we don't get praised for finding the dark arts. I think it's baffling. You know, like you said, it used to be Arsenal soft, Arsenal weak, naive, there's no underbelly. Now,
all them buzzwords.
Yeah, all those cliches, all those lazy narratives. But now there's one thing when you can look at Arsenal and you go, they are physically strong. They're a tough nut to crack. I mean, we talk about Arsenal. We've only lost 3 games in all competitions this season. I mean, we are in the 3rd of March. So regardless, that's very impressive. Yes, you can factor in draws as well. But the fact they've only lost 3 games, it's pretty impressive. But, you know, it's the same old Arsenal boring. Can they rely on...
Let us be boring. Where did good football get us in this current climate? And I'm not saying I don't want to be entertained and all of that stuff, but for argument's sake, they say we're boring. What has boring done for us? Boring's done a lot more than being entertaining. And I do think, listen, we're not a great footballing, like from previous Arsenal sides, we're not a great attacking outfit, but you can't tell me every game's boring, bro. Like, it's jarring. And also that, bro, football's subjective. Yeah. Football's like music, like set pieces, negative football, you know, the Stoke, let's say Stoke, like that Stoke City football, for example, bro. That is not football to me. But if somebody said that's good football, I can't tell them nothing. It's like music. I don't think rock and roll's good music. But if someone can't tell me nothing, like, it don't make sense, broski. It's jarring.
Yeah, I mean, there is a massive misconception. I said this yesterday. I still believe Arsenal play good football. I mean, you don't become top of the league just on set pieces alone. You have to be a good footballing team. You have to be narratives. You have to be doing something well to be winning 8 from 8 in the Champions League. You have to be doing well to be playing in all 4 competitions. It isn't just exactly set pieces. There is a degree of we've mastered set pieces. And one thing I will say about set pieces, you have to put the ball in the box. I know it sounds stupid, but you can't take the delivery for granted. And why is that good? Because you have fantastic players in Saka.
And you can put the ball in the back of the net.
And when you've got Gabriel there, when you've got Saliba, we're a tall team. When you add Marino in there, I know he's injured, but Kai Havertz, there is a tall, imposing team there. You know, that is hard to beat.
And why is that? Because they said we're soft and scared and all these things.
And Arteta has looked at that. Don't forget, I always say this to you, but Arteta was a player, right? And we all look at Arteta in that time and in that
we do, to be fair.
In 2013-14, that team played some lovely football, but it was vulnerable. It was so vulnerable. And there's that picture of him at Anfield, you know, 4-0 down, and he looks around and there's literally no one there. He's got Ozil to one side and Wilshere to one side, beautiful footballers, very attacking, and he was on his own and Anfield swallowed him up. And he's always said that has hindered him. It's been one of the worst moments of his career, but he learned a lot from that. Played under Moyes, played under Wenger, he's like with Guardiola. So he's got all those ideologies and he's put them all together, and we here to this present day. And yeah, it's just no one likes Arsenal, and it's fine to admit that. But like you said, I
don't want to be liked from them. I don't give a monkeys about them if we win trophies. They never rated us to begin with.
That if you're liked, that means you're not threatening. That's the soul. And
you mentioned Pep, bro. Remember when we used to, because I think there's been several stages of Arsenal under Mikel Arteta playing City. We just straight up used to get battered these very early days. And he would, you know, there's a good boy, pat on the head. Then we kind of came into the games where we would still lose, but you could see what Arteta is doing tactically. There might have been a moment where one of our players is switched off. You know, I think Ramsdale and Tomiyasu come to mind against Manchester City. Then we actually started beating them, getting 1-2 points, having some draws where there's a bit of bad blood owing to Nicholas Hover. And now Pep doesn't give us our praise. So what you said there about, you know, teams don't necessarily like good teams or whatever you said. I think it's bang on, and people need to just go and have a history, just go back in history. History would be kind to people. But at the time, no one liked Muhammad Ali, no one liked Thierry Henry, no one liked all their Man United legends, no one even liked the Man United sides, the City sides, the Chelsea sides, the Arsenal sides. You go through sport, and you're a perfect guy because obviously you work on TalkSport primarily with football, but you understand sport. Anybody that achieves stuff or is innovators and things like that, people get onto you. And what people fail to understand is, you mentioned it there, Luke, we had a small team. Not that height is anything, because there's a couple small boys in the team, but we needed to add physicality. We saw where the game was going in terms of fine margins and set pieces and dead balls. People talk about Arsenal being boring. Football is boring. You've got all of these managers now. You go back to the early 2000s, not that they were necessarily in the league, but Brighton, Bournemouth, these kind of games are write-offs that you're going to smash them in and move to them and things of that ilk. Now, these are some of the most difficult games. And we all know football's won and lost in both boxes, yeah? But the midfield is packed out. You're playing mid and low blocks. You have to take advantage. And this is what I mean by, I don't know for the victim stuff. I don't know about no victim stuff. We're just having a decent conversation. Please use your brain cells. But it's stuff like this, because this is where I think the media is dangerous, because Liverpool score from a set piece. They're set piece kings. It's pathetic football from us when we do it. City get a jammy win, which there's no credit. No disrespect. You have to win. That's how you win a championship. When we get a deserved late win, it's so unlucky they can't sustain this. It's not making sense, bro.
Yeah, and the sad reality is that's kind of the world of journalism, and negativity always sells. If you're positive, it always gets hidden in the background. And I think to not to even antagonize, but it just sells. It's frankly like that.
Does.
And if you twist the words to make something sound different to what it is, you can read between the lines. That happens a lot. But sometimes I just think honesty is the best policy, regardless if it's journalism, if it's just football, if you watch a game and you can just observe it and be honest, because
100%.
you can't live a lie. And, sometimes it's just you're saying it for saying sake. There's a few examples, but touching on Arsenal, it's just, in fact, I'll use you as an example. I see your clip about, we talked about referees, and referees, and we've been treated differently. And then people go, why can you say that? Well, let's just put the evidence towards you.
And then from that clip that you're referring to when I was on the Goal Show, what now look at the climate.
Yeah.
Arsenal been telling you this.
Well, think about it, right? It's the same people were saying, the Tottenham decision with Van der Ven is of Dragisin on the weekend. You're saying, he's got two hands in the back, that should be a foul. But that one was stood, and we're like, well, are they both fouls or are they not fouls? Are they both goals? Because you're now, you're not listening to what you're saying. And some other decisions, we can talk about that, but we don't like that, because if we say that, it's excuses, and that's the thing. We're not allowed to say things like that. I'm not allowed to say things like that because it's an excuse. However, I see decisions and go, well, that's weird because that didn't happen. And that's football. And then football's all about consistency. And the football has a lack of consistency on the pitch. Right. Sometimes that's a lack of consistency off the pitch as well. So it's, how do you find a solution? Well, I'll tell you what you do. You control what you can control. And what you can control is you can control things on the pitch, and you have to block out the noise. Look, it's difficult for players. And I'm sure the players do see some of it. And hopefully it spurs them on. And I think you have to. I think it's hard not to ignore it. And it must frustrate some of them, because, like I said, I do think we are sometimes very misconstrued. Like, look, this notion about boring football and defensive football, I don't think it actually is as true as people think.
But then they say we can't break down low blocks where the game's played in the opponent's half for at least 80% of the game. It's not making sense.
And if you watch it from an actual tactical eye, it's actually very difficult, because I'll give you an example. Eze. Now, everyone looks at Eze and goes, he needs to do more. He needs to do more. Could he do more? Could he do more? Sometimes I disagree, because when I watch Eze, he's actually showing for the ball. The problem when you watch Eze play in this Arsenal team is that Zubimendi and Rice are so high. They're really high. So Eze thinks, if I get the ball, or as a number 10, whatever team you want your number 10 to get on the ball, be a Maverick, go in between the lines.
If I'm on the ball and I lose it, I'm in trouble.
There you go. So if you lose the ball, not only is he thinking that Zubi and Rice are pretty much 5 yards behind me. There's a transition on. And in the Premier League, one thing we've seen over the years is that every team can work on a transition. And it's dangerous. And there's quality in every single team in the Premier League. But people don't look at that. People look at that and go, it's not good enough. Or it's not that. Football is so difficult. But this notion that Arsenal are very, very defensive isn't actually true. I don't believe. However, what we can say is Arsenal need to move the ball quicker. So Eze has options. So he can run, and there's more space for like Saka or Trossard, or whoever deploys off the left-hand side. But do you know what I mean? But then it's just this notion of Arsenal don't do anything apart from, have set pieces. When that's not true, because if you look how high our line is, and if you look at our positioning of our fullbacks in Nketiah and Timber, they're so high, they're so wide. It's crazy to see. That's actually the blueprint of a manager that wants to go and attack and win games and control it in that box. So it's more difficult to get back in that box and score goals. And once you've got the ball, no team can score. No team can score. But the element of total control in football is it's so hard because you can't control the uncontrollable. And if someone gets the ball and pops it in from like Eze again, lobbing Sanchez. Okay, it didn't come off, but that can happen. And I'm surprised that doesn't happen more in the Premier League with low blocks, because your keeper's halfway up his line because he's now an auxiliary centre back, because people are looking to go back to the keeper to play.
There's a passing option as well, yeah.
Sometimes all these players have got quality. Have a look. 50 yards. Yeah, it's obviously.
Do it, bang. If it works, you're a hero. If it doesn't, which it didn't work for Eze, it's a non-story.
But I like that. I
like that. I'd rather you try that. That's why you're at the team. Like, and I know we're kind of going off topic, and there's many, like we've spoken about Eze, but that's the stuff that got you to Arsenal Football Club. Yeah. Not doing that might not keep you at Arsenal Football Club. So do it. Like, you're a Maverick. That's what you're meant to do. But I digress. Go on.
No, it is. That's. You're right. That's exactly what it is. You want to see people play off the cuff. You want to see people express themselves. However, in the Premier League, it's so systemic, it's so tactically minded that you have to learn how football is played now. And it's not the same as it was played 10, 12 years ago. And sometimes I'm not a bit a hypocrite, but I'm winning the games. I watch it. I'm at the stadium myself. And, I love David Raya to bits. But there's at times where he's put his foot on the ball and I'm thinking, you can just play that. I know you're trying to suck them out to beat the press, so he can play it into Rice. He can
just move it quickly, man.
But sometimes you can move it quicker. But I understand that, there's a method to the madness between waiting for that to come out to play. And I get that. Sometimes you just want to see the pass, play, and let's go and attack. But yeah, that's more from a tactical mindset. In terms of fans, man, I firmly believe that every fan is rational. I think you'll get some that will say things just to get a reaction, and unfortunately that happens, like I said, in every fan base. But I actually think you can't fake a feeling, you can't fake emotion. And I think Arsenal fans and football fans, you can see a performance. I think there's a big difference between seeing a performance and feeling a performance. You can see it for a result and you can go, oh, okay, for example, we beat Chelsea 2-1 on the weekend, great.
You mentioned that there, yeah. Carry on, because I want to ask you something on that as well, because you just mentioned something.
You see the performance, you go, okay, we beat Chelsea 2-1. Brilliant. We're back to 5 points clear at the top. But you can feel the performance, and the feeling was, listen, I think we need to play better. I think we need to control the game better in the second half. Concerned about the physical drop-off as a team collectively. I think we looked a little bit leggy, considering we've had a week off. But that's the feeling. That's constructive criticism. I'm delighted that we got the win. But then you move. And then if you articulate that in the right way and you have a conversation, that's what football is about. That's fine. But you're not ripping the team to shreds. I think the player, even Arteta said it, we suffered. We had to suffer. And we're going to have to suffer between now and the end of the season. My only worry is March the 3rd with so much football to play. I don't want to suffer too early. Maybe get to April and May and you can start to suffer, because that's still a long time. Maybe this month you can still play a little bit more expressive. I know it's so hard to say that because there's so much pressure. Drew and Timber said it. They can feel the pressure. And I feel for them because I know they can feel it. But that's the difference between sometimes seeing and feeling. And then when you put that together and talk to fans, sometimes fans will just block out everything that they've seen. And they will just say, oh, no, it weren't good enough. No, it's shit. No, it's this, that, and the other.
They'll either say it weren't good enough, or they'll act like everything's rosy and things like that, where the truth's in the middle. Like that is literally it. But then what I wanted to ask you, and you're touching on it lightly, like you've mentioned Timber. Some fans that were at the game said Timber was calming the fans down. Ian Wright has spoken about nerves. I personally think nerves are normal. But where are you at with the tension in the stadium and the nerves and how much that does or doesn't play a part in our season to come, because we've got a couple of home games left. Obviously, we beat Chelsea, but there was probably that element. That's probably been all the one of the things away from what we've spoken about initially. That's been all the range. Like, where were you at? Like, and also, was you at the game against Chelsea?
Yeah, I was at the game, and
Perfect man to ask that question. Then
I have to be brutally honest with this, and I think this is a wider conversation about football fans in England in general. And listen, this is no disrespect to European fans, but in England, we're not the fan base in any team you support that will be 2-0 down and you're cheering and you celebrate, because you live the result through your mood. And that's how England football's always worked. You know, if you're watching a game when you're nervous, you will sit there and be nervy. That's natural.
You're human, just like the players.
Yeah, that's it. It was very, very different to be going to a European away and seeing the team 2-0 down, and it's like, oh, they're all celebrating, because you're not actually seeing what's happening. That's not a fair representation of what's going on. Listen, I just think that whole thing about the tension in the stadium wasn't true. I actually thought the atmosphere was quite good. I actually did. I thought in the first 30 minutes, I thought we were excellent. I thought the fans were right up for it. And then they equalised right on the stroke of half time. It was unfortunate. And obviously then it flattened for like 2 minutes, because you're going into half time and you're thinking they've got to go and pick themselves up. That can happen. Come out the second half. Listen, I thought Chelsea were the better team first 15 minutes.
100%.
And the fans then were like, okay, like, we're nervy here because we're losing control of the game. But then on the hour mark, I hear in, come on, Arsenal, come on, Arsenal, come on, Arsenal.
And set piece again, ole, ole. And then they got a man sent off, and it's all happy days.
And then it's all happy days. And listen, I think you've seen the stats. I'm not sure if it's true, but I think from the moment Neto got sent off, we completed 53 passes and they completed 114. And then from the 85th minute, we completed only 7 passes. And I think
we can do a lot better against 10 men. That's the second time that's been the case.
So we can do a lot better. So in the last 10 minutes,
obviously
there was a bit of nerves in the fans, but I think that's just natural. But this notion that the Emirates is making it more nervy, I don't think is 100% true. I think it just lives through the team that's playing the game on the pitch. And at the end, like in the last 5 minutes, we were shouting like, get up, push up, just normal things that you would hear, like, come on, nearly there. Like, you can hear the fans, like, and you can see the players are hearing it. Everyone's like pushing together. But it's a collective. We're all in it together. Like, I can feel where it's a connection. We're trying to help them. We are being the 12th man.
We're doing as much as we can as fans that can't play or influence decisions. And that's know what, beyond the obvious, Luke, I do think there's a part of the play of that. But I think, the good, the bad, the nerves, the excitement, starting a game nervy, ending it strong, vice versa. That is all part of being a football fan, being a player, transitioning into getting to a team that's consistently at the tail end of a season, trying to win a trophy or trophies. I do think it's not to say, by God's grace, we obviously win the Prem or some other silverware. And this time next year, we're sat here kind of talking about the same old things, trying to get over the line. So I don't necessarily think a lot of these things will go. I just think for us, it's that first one for these boys and Arteta, and first one under Arteta for the players and obviously the fans, and obviously won a 20-year drought. So I think when we itch that thing off our back, it will kind of not calm down, because you can't get away from it, but we'll be a bit calmer in this kind of situation. But this is the scenario we wanted to be in, and in a good way, it's only going to get worse. What do you think the cup final is going to be like? The knockouts in the Champions League, if you have to play City multiple times. And I just wanted to ask you as well, like on a footballing point of view, like you mentioned a couple of things, and I know you're talking about Chelsea, and I've had you on this platform before. But just in isolation, you mentioned starting the first 30 minutes well. Like, I'm used to a first half where we do that. We might get a goal or be penned back in, with a kind of lapse in concentration, and we're going into halftime feeling a bit indifferent. Second half, sometimes we, the first half of the second half, we come out blitzing. Typically, we're better in the second half, or we have an indifferent initial period like Chelsea. Whether it's that, whether it's like we said in with a bit tongue in cheek about Raya playing the ball forward, it does feel like in general from August to now, specific to the Premier League, there's obviously been good days, but we're kind of talking about the same thing or the same kind of pattern. So it's like, is that a worry for you? Do you think we're going to click into that gear, or are you at the point of, what, there's 9 games left, the good, bad, and the ugly, it's results business. Yeah, I hope you lot get better, but a lot of the things we want to see improve, it's probably not going to happen this year, but just get over the line. And then 2026, 27, we move. Like, where are you at with that?
It's a difficult one, because I think the Premier League, we only play now, obviously Brighton on Wednesday tomorrow, and then obviously Everton.
We'll touch on that, folks. Don't worry.
14th.
See a couple comments.
So there's only 2 games now in the Premier League for the rest of the month. And I think the ramifications of the other competitions are going to have a big say in how we perform in April and May. Because you give yourself, look, Leverkusen is obviously, no football game is played on paper, but if you look at the draw, obviously you're quite happy to factor Wimbledon off on that side, and Leverkusen is
and everyone's doing, you must win it now, Arsenal. Like, people will sit there and say football's not won on paper, but you must win it now. Look at that side. Bearing in mind, the team on no team is, well, in the last couple of years, the team on the left, the opposite side, have been the ones to win it. I think on that side there's 31 winners. On our side, there's 5 winners, and they're all with Barca. So this is what I mean. I know I'm going back to the beginning, yeah, but this is what I mean about the engineered nonsense. But I cut you off, bro. Like,
yeah, book your flights to Budapest. I said, why? They were like, because I said, you're in the final. Well, we're in the final, are we? I thought we had to play the round of 16, then the quarterfinal, and then the semi.
Must know something we don't.
But that's the thing. Right. You touch back on fans. You know, you come out and say, "Oh, I think we're going to win at the Etihad." Where'd you get that from? Well, because I believe in my team. Well, why would you say you're going to win at the Etihad? And then you go, but the same fan will tell you to go and book your tickets to Budapest because you should make the Champions League final. So you're allowed to tell me what I do, but if I say I think we're going to go and win at the Etihad and win the rest of our games, I'd be called a fool, and I'd be called that's blind positivity. So that's where the balance lies. Like, what am I meant to say? You tell me what I say, and then I'll say it. But, you know, if an Arsenal fan comes out now and says, I think we're going to win all 4 competitions, they'll go, have a day off. But then if you come out and say, oh, I don't think we'll win anything, they'll be going, what are you talking about? You know, what a loser mentality, you know. And if you can articulate how you feel on both of those fronts, and you can back it up with points and facts and feelings and emotions, then that's fine. Yeah, I definitely don't think we're going to win all 4, but I think it'd be incredible because no one's done it. I'll say it's super difficult. I definitely think we're going to win something, but some fans might not think we're going to win anything because of various reasons. Those reasons I don't know. But in terms of how I'm feeling, I think we have to go back, you know, because it was, you know, the end of September the 28th, right? We went to Newcastle and won that game of football. Now, a lot of
best
people
game in the Premier League for me so far this season.
A lot of people told me that was done. A lot of people said, you ain't going to win at St. James's Park. You know, yeah, Liverpool might drop points away at Palace because at that time
they were a must win and all of that stuff that was said then as well.
We're talking about September, right? We were talking about September. And then, look, we went through that period in October, November. You know, we were really motoring. And then, obviously, November, no shots on target. And we were talking about, you know, can we match Chelsea's record at the back? Just how good is this Arsenal team? And then in Christmas, you know, we were still actually very good. There was obviously some games where I actually thought we just played too much total control football. The likes of Everton away springs to mind. I thought we learned a really big lesson at home to Wolves. You know, no game is easy in the Premier League.
Well, should have, especially when we went to their place.
And yeah, and we just unacceptably didn't. I just think we just fell below the standards of what we should have done on the football pitch. I have to give a little bit of credit to Wolves, but I actually think it was just more our doing because I think we just stopped playing football, and I don't really know why that happened.
That's what I mean about the patterns emerging, because that happened against Man United when we equalised. It's like, I'm not even, like you said, constructive criticism. I saw it last season, whether we're talking about attack or the patterns or the indifferent moments over 90 minutes. And don't get it twisted, you're not going to dominate for 90 minutes. We all know that, people, in that regards, yeah. But this is why I asked you. It's like, I feel like I'm specifically in the Premier League, Champions League so far, you lot have done your thing, no smoke there. And I know it happens, but I just feel whether it's the late goals, you know, we still have dropped 21 points from winning positions, you know, in different kind of halves. It's like I'm seeing this kind of same patterns. And I did feel, I always said, I've been saying this, you know, from preseason, August, I give you 10 games. You need to win those 10, and it don't mean just drop points, but I understand preseason isn't a magical place. You go off for a couple of weeks and it's amazing, isn't it? And I know people are, you know, chasing fitness, but I give you to the 10-game mark. For me, the 10-game mark in the Premier League really marks the start. So from then until December, get results. But every week I'm now I need to see things. Granted, we've had some highs and lows, but genuinely we've been maneuvering, right? So that takes me to the end of the year. End of the year, there were some wobbles, but injuries, whatever, we handled it. We came out of that into 2026, still trying to do what we're trying to do. And we've continued that from January to this point in March. But I'm still kind of seeing these patterns. And like you mentioned Newcastle, and I'm happy you did, because everyone who knows me on this platform on YouTube, that is the performance for me, the best of this season. Like, We've had the balance. You know, we complicated where we needed to complicate. We kept things simple where we did. The subs came off the bench and did well. We reacted to various setbacks. There was decisions that didn't go away against refs, but we handled it. I'm yet to kind of have that feeling in the Premier League. Now, don't get it twisted. We've obviously battered Spurs, battered Leeds, battered Burnley, but you get where I'm going. But that's what I mean in like, as we're now in March, do I really see these things eradicated? So it's like, is it a thing of it is what it is now? Like results business, the good, bad, and the ugly. We're here now, innit?
We are here. I just think football is it can be very complicated, but also can be very, very simple.
Exactly.
And sometimes I just think it's difficult to say it, but 3 points is very difficult. 3 points in the Premier League is tough. We look at performances like Brentford, and look how well Brentford played.
Another one, yeah.
But then if you look at Brighton's performance away at Brentford, off the back of having 2 wins in the last 14 games, that wouldn't look like a team that was, having a really poor form. We look at, don't forget, this is the same season Unai Emery was talking about a potential title race with Aston Villa, and look how they've dropped off because of European. Chelsea as well. Let's be honest, Liverpool's title defense.
Everyone forgets that Liverpool have kind of fallen off a cliff
and won the league in September, and now are fighting for top 4, and they lost 4 games on the bounce. And they didn't just lose those 4 games on the bounce because of refereeing decisions. They lost those games because they didn't apply themselves, and they weren't very good, and they deservedly got beaten. I think away at Forest, home to Forest, away at Brentford. So it depends. I just look at it now and go, we've won 19 games of Premier League football, and that is actually
draws that frustrate me, man.
Of course, there's 2 draws that for me spring to mind. Obviously, it's actually the most recent ones in Brentford and Wolves. I don't think you can change too much. I think the Chelsea one was frustrating, but you know what? You beat Spurs, you blow away Bayern Munich. Okay, I get it, the 10 men of Chelsea, but you know what? Chelsea played well that day, and you have to give credit where credit's due. And I actually thought Reece James was very, very good.
Unpopular opinion, Sunderland away. I know they're in a great moment, they're great form, but we call ourselves the best defensive team in the world, and in the league, we're 15 minutes away, and it's only because of the expectations there.
I hear that, but I was at the game, and I
don't get twisted. They deserve the point. Like, we deserve nothing more than a point, but sometimes you win when you deserve to lose, etc., etc.
I agree, and I thought that second half, I think we had 9 shots from open play. For everyone that says we're just relying on set pieces, and I thought we actually, and like you said, at that time they were tough to break down. They actually played some really, really good football as well. And I think
credit to them and their gaffer.
We started with Marino up front. It was Trossard on the left, Saka on the right. We played some good football, and I thought we were very, very good. And we could have won it at the end with Calafiori's chance. People forget that. So I came away with it disappointed, but then I actually looked back and thought, you know what? Our performance, we played well, and we will probably we probably played better against Sunderland than we did against Chelsea. And we won against Chelsea, or we drawn against Sunderland.
And you mentioned Wolves at home, that goes to them as well. But that's what I mean. Like, sometimes you get what you deserve in football, and sometimes you lose when you deserve more, and all the variations. But you're going to get that over 38 game period, and people don't get people can understand that, but they don't fully get it.
No, football can be so unforgiving, it can be cruel, and sometimes you can snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. That's how football works. I'm in a position right now where we've actually touched on nerves. I think it's difficult, but I think we have to just give the fans have to give them everything.
Are you nervous?
Do you know, I'm actually quite calm. I'm actually quite calm about the situation because they're in all 4 competitions. It's the most exciting time to be an Arsenal player. It should be the most exciting time to be a fan. And sometimes if you get overworked, you forget to enjoy it. And I think right now we should just try and enjoy it and live in the moment. We can't control it. We can support them, like we said, we always do that. So it's very simple. I don't think Arsenal will lose a game between now and the end of the season. They don't look to me like the team that will lose a game in the Prem. In the Prem, because let's have
a bit of fun. Go on, but I'm going to bring our fixtures up because every guest I get, I ask them certain things. Go on before I ask you.
For me, it's very simple: 8 wins and a draw. So I'm not saying that draw has to be at the Etihad. I think we have to win at the Etihad. I think we should be going there to win at the Etihad. But I just think you'd have to throw a draw in there because of the Champions League, because Everton have got one of the best away records now in the Premier League.
Everyone's looking knackered as well, if I'm honest, whether they've had a rest or not. And that goes for all players. I'm not just saying Arsenal. You're at that point of the season now where everyone's playing with an injury. People are coming back from injuries. People are playing more games than maybe their manager would like. A bit like us. We've got to do us a favour. That's actually I've said this to you before. If there was an area I'm concerned about in terms of bodies, it's midfield because you've lost Marino, Kai's in and out, Odegaard's in and out. MLS is an option. We ain't been exposed to that. Rice, anytime he holds his hammy or something, I'm a bit nervous. Zubamendi looks like now the rigors of all these games in your debut season in England is coming to you. Me and you have spoken before, and where I look at someone like Norgard, I always push back a bit. I do think fans exaggerate the need for him to start games of football for this club. But then I do agree because for me, there's no excuse to not maybe of him featured a bit more like in elements like against Chelsea, where it's come off the bench, just help us see a result. So that's you made a great point there still.
I just think it's 8 wins and a draw. You, like I said, you've got Champions League, so Leverkusen in between Everton. Now, Everton might look more easy on paper, but then you play the game and Everton might be more up for it because of their away record. Look, every game of the Emirates, I expect us to win. However, you can't go in there and think you're going to blitz teams because we're at that stage of the season. And listen, we've got, London derby against West Ham. West Ham might be in a difficult position. It could be over. It could be, they could need a win to stay up. That's a horrible game because you've got a team playing for something. And sometimes then you want the teams like Bournemouth, who, no disrespect, I know they're in a good position in the league, might be a stretch to get to Europe. They're definitely not going to go down. So those games when they've got nothing to play for sometimes can be even worse because that's the unpredictability of football. So listen, I just think it's quite straightforward. I don't know where the draw will be. But listen, look, if we get to the situation where we have to go to the Etihad and play for a draw, fine. Because they ain't going to lose. I don't think they'll lose at the Etihad.
Fingers told, everything crossed.
I think they will. Well, listen, that's my feeling, right? And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But
no, you're allowed to feel like that. I know we live in this day and age of he ha ha. He said this. If that's what you feel, that's what you feel, and the same goes for me.
I said it at the start of the season. I thought we would have won the league. I said in November, I thought we were the team to beat. I've been quite consistent all the way through, and we've had wobbles, and we've had conversations, and we've gone. What's happened? We've had the conversation about the element of fun and embracing the noise and embracing the
fucking enjoying it. Yeah, they don't rate you anyways. Enjoy it. What can they say?
And that's was my only concern at the turn of the year. It was almost like, oh gosh, it's January, and it looks like the fear has already taken over them. When realistically, in January, you should be able to breathe and play football and just try and play football and enjoy it. Because now, when you come into crunch time, now I can understand a few nerves, a few moments. But it's up to Arteta as well, and like you touched on it. It's difficult for Arteta.
That's where he earns his money, man. You're going to have to rotate and all these things now.
Rotate. And for me, I look at football and I look at every team, predominantly the teams in the Premier League, good teams in the Premier League. And you're right. And someone might know more than me in the comments in the chat, but I look at runners. I think runners are so important in midfield in your Premier League. I look at Chelsea and I even thought Lavia coming on, and if they keep him fit in Caicedo, they've got 2 runners in there. I look at Newcastle and I think, Joe Linton is a runner, and actually Bruno is actually pretty good from deep as a runner.
Our boy Joe Willock's there, Tonali. They might not look on paper like they're on running up and down, but they are. Like you have to be athletic in the game in the middle of the park now.
You look at Aston Villa. I know they've got injuries, but you've got
bag of runners.
You've got
McGinn and Nana, all them guys.
Rogers obviously runs in. You've got Liverpool. Gravenberch and Szoboszlai, they can run, they can shift. I think we saw that at the Emirates in the second half as they run and shift. And Wirtz was playing in that false 9, so they were roaming around.
Slott's done some good tactical stuff when he's played Arsenal, to be fair. I know Liverpool fans won't like to hear about Slott's tactics, but against us, I think he's got things spot on in the 2 games he played this year.
So I look at it and I just go, just play Miles Lewis-Skelly in midfield, because I think you've got that security of Gabriel and Saliba at the back, and I think Nketiah has been brilliant in recent weeks as well.
Look at Pep with O'Reilly reverting him,
and this is the thing. I just
think we got our Saka in the 10 and Havertz in that role, the Odegaard role.
And if you look at the way Skelly plays at left back, so I love Skelly, and I think he's an exceptional talent, but sometimes he looks like he's done the thing before the thing. So he's thinking about, when I get the ball, I'm going to beat him, and I'm going to beat him. And then sometimes at left back, you might be caught out of position.
You're going to get caught. And we're not even playing inverted fullbacks like that again right now in this current play period.
With him in midfield, in tight spaces, he will roll you. And then when there's space, he will drive.
Show for it, man.
And he will roll it. And when he loses the ball, you're all right.
You got the big brothers around.
You've got even if you play Rice a little bit deeper, you've got Saliba, you've got Timber to come back. I've got to say, right, Christian Mascara as well has been brilliant every time.
Him and Capie, bosses.
Calafiori's still there as well. So you've got real options at the back, real solid options at the back that can control it. I just think you have to have a go, play him, because if you lose the ball, you're going to lose it that way, and you're going to lose it further up the pitch. You're going to lose it when you're trying to slide through a pass through to Saka or through to whoever.
That's how football works. You can you cannot score a goal without maybe potentially losing the ball.
That's the risk you want. You want to see your players make that pass, but you know what? Miles will get you up the pitch. I just seen a comment there, Norgard to come in as well. Listen, I can't see him changing both midfielders. I mean, Norgard and Miles. We should have seen that against Wigan, but unfortunately,
Norgard's next in command, man. Like if Rice, for example, don't play tomorrow, I expect to see Zubi, Norgard, and whoever in the other guard role. I don't expect him to start Miles Lewis-Kelly, but we are at that point of the season. Expect the unexpected, innit? I just want to confirm this with you, yeah, because like you mentioned, you don't see us losing, yeah, but I've been speaking about this with everyone on my platform, innit? So we're playing win, lose, or draw, yeah? Specifically the Premier League. So Mansfield and Leverkusen, fingers, toes, everything crossed, but we're irrelevant from that. Brighton away, which is a mixed one for me. Win, lose, draw.
Win.
I'm gonna go win. All right, Everton at home. I'm gonna go draw, you know.
Win.
Fair. All right, hopefully we win the final, but we'll air that. Bournemouth at home.
Win.
Fair enough. I got to win there. City away.
Hold on. So that's right. Win.
My heart says win because it just feels like it's time now. My brain says draw. I hope I'm wrong and we do the double over them.
I'm factoring in, and this is no disrespect, Bodo Sporting. I hope City beat Real Madrid and they're away to Munich 3 days before that game.
Yeah, this little period is weird for both teams. Like even with the final, we've got Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll be playing in the champs. Obviously, we're playing each other at the weekend. So this is where all the managers have to earn their money. Rotate where you need to rotate, not rotate where you can, and trust the whole squad. That's actually something I want to quickly ask you before we can continue. Brighton, like briefly, where are you? Do you rotate or do you go strong again?
No,
Bearing in mind we played on Sunday.
I think you have to make some changes. Yeah, I think.
How many? Who?
Look, I think Julian Timber needs a rest. I do, and I actually have so much trust in Christian Mosquera to come in and do the job. Listen, I'm a bit concerned about Ben White. I have to be honest because
a bit. I'm hella concerned about him and Odegaard now. Like you keep in and out.
Odegaard, I actually expect to be back in some capacity.
We need everybody.
Listen, this is because I trust the team. Look, I'd even start Madueke. I know that probably might be a big call.
So Raya in goal.
I got
Gabriel Magalhaes, Saliba, Mosquera right back.
Yeah, I think
left back.
I'll go in Capier. I mean, I think Calafiori still needs some minutes, but Capier deserves it. And if he's fit, I think he starts. Listen,
midfield then.
I hope Rice is fit.
You're not alone. Because that will make me not give up on the league, but it would make me want to vomit. I'm like, oh.
No, because if Rice is fit, I think Zubi is not physically tired. I think Zubi's now mentally tired. And you touched on it. People forget this is his debut season in one of the most intense leagues in the world, and also one of the most difficult positions to play.
Decision making on the ball,
but also because you've got to do everything. The
only thing he done well was watching the game again. Yeah, you could tell Arteta gave him a tactical job with Enzo Fernandez, but on the ball, Zubamendi's sweet in it. I call him Zubamendinho. He was Zubamedi. Over hitting passes, under hitting passes, getting caught on the ball, but we're doing decision making. It's like man are tired now.
Yeah, that's not because he's not got the quality. That's because
form fluctuates.
Yeah, he's tired. Like it's fine to admit. Him and Timber have played the most minutes. It's not a shock that they look the most tired. Sometimes it's not a doctor. It's just quite obvious he is tired. And he even came on against Wigan and played 13 minutes of it's 4-0 up, but that's still minutes in the legs for people who played. It's still minutes in the legs. Sometimes you need a complete break. I would love to see Rice. I'd love to see Lewis-Kelly. I think you do it. I would play Eze in the 10. I would play. Do you know what? I will change it. I'll play Saka on the right. I still actually would start Saka. I'd play Eze in the 10. I'd play Saka. I'd play Martinelli and I'd play Havertz. That's what I would do.
You'd bench Gyökeres?
Yeah, I think again, because that's nothing to do with the Premier League. I think you can give him a week, because I think in the Champions League, I think him and Havertz are going to be so fundamental.
I
I think
hear it.
when we look at the space that is you get given in the Champions League, I think he'll thrive. And also, listen, I know football is not played on paper, but it would be really, really nice if we went to Leverkusen with a real nice cushion going into the game against Saturday against Everton at home. Because then if you've got a couple of goal lead against Leverkusen at home on Tuesday, you can have one eye on the cup final, you can make some changes, you can bring in Gabriel Jesus, you can see if Odegaard's fit, you can see if Calafiori needs minutes, you can see if White's back in the team, but you've got enough talent and quality on there to actually score a couple of goals.
That's the annoying thing, because some positions, yeah, it's like you want to rotate, but there's no one available, sort of thing. And then obviously you also need to remember the players that have kind of been caught in the cold. They're actually they're susceptible to not be able to play 90 minutes or get cramps. And some might have to give us an hour, or 30, or 20. For me, as strong as we can against Brighton, man. I do hear you, and I actually agree. I do think we're tired. Everyone on my channel knows I wanted a couple of centre mids in the summer and in years beyond. I just feel Brighton away. On one hand, I think we should be winning that. On the other, I feel I've seen us compete well away from them, but I wouldn't quite say they're a bogey team, but we've been left with a sour taste in our mouth home and away in a couple of years. And we always talk about it's a cup final and all these kind of things. That's my cup final. So
yeah, but they are
my 11.
They're a football team, Brian. And what I mean by that is they'll give you, they're going to sit on the box and cramp it and give us the owners to go and
they're going to play ball, man.
They'll play ball.
Our old boy Danny over there.
And on the transition, that's where we have to capitalize. But what you have when that big pitch at the Amex and transition, you need a runner. And I think if you need to play Deck, but you're telling him, listen, he's only got 60 minutes, tell him to play as a 6 and just hold him calm and let Miles run.
Yeah.
Let Miles play. And then if you've got Hincapié coming on the overlap and you've got Martinelli, then you've got a little bit of a link up. And don't forget,
and then the guys off the bench as well can be utilized. That's where your Calafiori. I don't know if we want to see out a game with Calafiori, but that's where your Calafiori's and if your Norgard didn't start. So it's a weird one, because for me, Raya, I'm going Raya, Saliba, Gabriel. Fuck it. I know, Timber, you need a rest, man, but I need these 3 points. Timber, you're going out there. Hincapié, you're going out there. Rice, I know you're going to be fit, and we're speaking that into existence. Rice, you're out there. You know what? I might throw a spanner in the works, because I'm a hypocrite. I'm going to be a hypocrite, because as much as I think Zubi needs to come out the side, and I've been agreeing with you and whatnot, I do think a tactical team against Brighton, you take Zubi out of that side, you will, obviously, if he plays, stinks up the gaff, I'll hold it. But I do think you remove him, it looks like there's issues. So, Rice, Zuba, Mendy, give me an hour, innit? Give me an hour. I'm not going to take you both off. Just give me an hour. Please just give me an hour. But now, this is where it probably gets a bit interesting, because the front four positions, I do want to throw a bit of spanners in the works, bro. A part of me wants to play Havertz back in that role with Gyökeres. Part of me actually wants to get Saka in there and then go with Noni over there. Part of me wants to do something radical, like Saka go on the left, Noni go on the right, Eze you're in the middle. I need to see interchanging, but because you mentioned your lineup, I'll keep it simple. Kai, Eze, have a breather for a sec. Kai, you're gonna start, man. Eze, you'll come on. Kai, you're gonna start. Saka, you're going on the right. I'm going with Gyökeres through the middle. Left wing. Do you go with Martinelli because of the transition things like you said? Do you go with Trossard? It's a former club. Trossard, Gyökeres, go and prove them wrong, innit? That would be mine.
My only concern is, I think with Havertz starting up front, which is why I will start Havertz, is that if we want to play through, we can also go over the top. And we can also...
he's going to run.
And Havertz can hold the ball up, and then you've got Eze, and then you can play, and you can bypass that midfield. So, because I think they will press. So
look at the options we got, man.
But this is why I trust in the team. But it's difficult, because I said to Raz to look at the games, and I think Mansfield, you do. It's so funny. He can't start, but then it depends. If you give him 45, and then because what you're going to do against Mansfield, not play him at all.
You know what, Eze? I changed mine. Eze, you're going to start. Kai, you've got half an hour max there. And then, like you said, with Mansfield, as much as we can rotate, the Lewis Skellies, the Max Dalmans, the Keppers, Mascara 2 games in a week, Calafiori needs minutes, go out there. We hope Odegaard and Ben White can be fit for these next 2 games, especially because if you're on the bench against Brighton and you don't play that many minutes, fair enough. There's 2 starts for you there. Jesus, Havertz, who really cares who goes up front? Just go through in the next round of the FA Cup and just we move for Leverkusen, as you alluded to.
funny because you can't really overlook Mansfield because he's actually very.
You can't. Like, I don't want to be disrespectful to them because
but obviously, like because of the golfing quality in football and in leagues now, it isn't the same as it what it used to be. So should take care of business on that. But that is quite ironic because that starts everything, because you don't want to have a cup shock there and obviously going into the Champions League and then, you know, the Everton game, because we've all been there.
It's happening. Arsenal cracking. Oh my.
We've been there in February, you know, that famous week in February used to be the FA Cup and it used to be a big game in the Premier League and then that Champions League second leg away at Barcelona or Bayern Munich. That's all
PTSD, man.
In that same week in February all the time, and used to go, oh, Arsenal challenging for the top four again. And it just used to happen like that. Obviously, this won't happen. But, yeah, I just think, look, we've got options. I'm not just, we have to go and win in it, really. It's as simple as that, bro.
So, what? Yeah, you went with a W here. So
yeah.
I went with a draw. You went with a W. You went with a W. You went with a W against City, did you? Just before we move on. Yeah, cool. I went heart, W, brain, point. Newcastle, W.
I think I actually think a lot of people would just expect City to win. And hopefully the more noise coming from City will give us sort of, not the pressure, but it will just be like, look, everyone thinks City are going to win. So go in there and show everyone why you deserve to go and be the Premier League champions. And I don't know if you've seen the little things on the Arsenal the Instagram page about all this loading soon and landing soon and all this content that's coming out. I don't really know what it is, but it looks quite good. Just go and show everyone.
With Saka and Thames.
Yeah, and then now Rice is sitting down and having a chat with Henry. Odegaard was doing something there, you know. So listen, there's just little bits.
Saka's a better man than me. I would not. I'll be going on a date with Thames, mate. I'll tell you that much. But yeah,
just like there's a story there on social media. So go and finish the story and write your chapter at the Etihad. And I think there, and that's why it's ironic, because this is how football works. I'm not doing this because I actually believe it. But it wouldn't shock me after the higher beating City at the Etihad, you draw to Newcastle.
What did you just say there? This is how football works. We've seen that. And I also think, my hot take is beyond the obvious. Whoever wins that final probably will lose in the league fixture. I hope Arsenal win and then, you know, two birds with one stone. But this is like you said, people forget. And obviously we're not privy to it. We don't know the players. We know the players. We don't know the players. We don't know who looks nervous, but actually they're mad confident. Players that look confident, but they're nervous. You know, this one could be in a nervous... Because remember, this is a job. They could be nervous about football for all the things we've spoken about with 58 minutes. But things could be going on in their personal lives. They could be doubting themselves. You know, it swings and roundabouts. This is why I think it's a chess match of a season. Like someone like Odegaard. On his day, he could be one of the first names on the team sheet for this club, whether we like him or not. Right now, your form's been a bit iffy. If there's been any positives around Odegaard, it's probably been your substitute appearances. You mentioned Newcastle away earlier. Newcastle away. Fair enough, people can say it's only Leeds, but his cameo against Leeds, actually in the North London derby. So right now, that's your kind of role, isn't it? If that makes sense. Like, until you show better, that's your kind of thing. And this is the part of the season. And remember, you said this is how football works, yeah? This is the part of the season for me where all footballers of all clubs, like people that would polarize opinions. So think your Kai Havertz's, your Marinos, if it potentially Gabriel Jesus, Gabriel Martinelli, the list kind of goes on. These are the men that make or break the season in the sense that they might only score 3 goals, but those 3 goals could have come with, we're losing the game, 90th minute, we've bagged the point, it's a must win, it's 1-1, you've got us out, we've been fucking shit on the football pitch, you've got us our 3 points. This is where we're going into this. Newcastle does... I think we're going to move to Newcastle personally, but I just think Newcastle a weird one.
Yeah, we have a great record against them at the Emirates, but it's just an ironic thing because listen, if we beat City, obviously it will feel like we've won the Premier League. However, we haven't won the Premier League, and we have to be cautious of that. So I expect
it's over. It's a boxing match. You keep hitting your opponent until the ref says allow it.
Yeah, I shouldn't really laugh about that, but it's just there's something very ironic about the fact that we would beat City at the Etihad and everyone's having a party at the Emirates, and then we actually draw that game 1-1, and everyone's like, "You must be joking me." However, it's just a false alarm because we've got 2 London derbies coming up. We don't lose London derbies, one in the last 25. So
let's just keep that up, boys. So what? I assume Newcastle W. I'm going with a W there. Fulham. Now this is for me, yeah. Obviously, because it's the last stretch here, these 4 games are like, because on paper, I expect us to beat Fulham. I expect us to beat West Ham. We'll beat Burnley. We should be beating Palace. But this is where shocks happen. This is the last game for Glasner. Obviously, the whole Eze stuff, depending on how we're going into the last day of the season, there's that. I expect to beat Burnley, but Burnley have actually kind of, quote-unquote, improved. this is where random things happen. Maybe we just have a bad day at the office. God forbid, but we could have got knocked out of a competition. You've got to play Burnley. We're feeling sorry for ourselves. They put the knife in further. West Ham are fighting for their lives. You, in my opinion, you got to be a bit wary about the teams that are fighting for their lives, innit? But we should be beating that. And Fulham, simply put, is one of our bogey teams, innit? Like, and big up Fulham, because you obviously saw the clips with Smith Rowe and Bassey and them, man. And then they went and smacked Spurs again, innit? Side note, do you actually think Spurs are going to get relegated? Because imagine they get relegated and we win the league. Happy St. Tottenham's Day as well.
Ask me on, early one, innit? Ask me on Thursday. I think that game is so important. I just think in Palace, I think Tottenham fail to win, I'll start to actually consider it, because I just think they're getting a little bit lucky with Forest and West Ham. And I just think, look, I'm not saying Tottenham's well run at all, because behind the scenes it seems like an absolute mess at the moment. But West Ham, with the recent tax loss and all that sort of stuff behind the scenes, that doesn't look good. Looking Forest had so much change as well behind the scenes with 4 managers in a season, so that's unprecedented. So it's actually all 3 clubs. It's because what's happening off the pitch makes it really. But what's quite funny is that on the pitch, Spurs are the worst performing team. They look like the worst performing.
They're 20th on the form guide. Yeah, and they look like it. You forget, we don't need stats. They genuinely look like it. Like, they can't do the basics. It looks like kids.
But this is why, and this is why with the North London derby, I couldn't get too high about it. Obviously, it's really nice and brilliant. We all know to beat your North London rivals, but they're just not very good. So
they're not very good, and we just really want, beyond the whole North London derby and all of the talk dominated by they could end our season or we could stick the knife in for them. Bro, we just wanted their 3 points, keeping it moving. We're fighting a juggernaut of a City side. Just
more important to focus on than actually like having just move on to the next. And Chelsea was next game. So you got the Champions League semi-finals to think about in those games as well in the start of May. So that obviously helped, And but then the notion is, if you've beaten City, then
we'll be in the driving seat, or if City beat us, they're in the driving seat. And that's the weird one, because
I don't know how City are feeling, because if City beat Bayern Munich and we do beat them at the Etihad, they'll have one eye on the semi-final of the Champions League as well, for example. So they might go, do you know what? We might be seeing them in the final anyway. Let them have the league, and then just that. So those ones in May are tricky. But I look at our record in London derbies. I just think sometimes that when you get to May and you've done what you've done, I think it might just be, they might just go out and just play, and they'll be like, do you know what? We'll just force the ball into the net.
You know what? I'm happy you said that, Luke, because my one hope, I know we've been talking about patterns and we're seeing the same things. My one hope is we see a real purple patch from, I know he's still scoring goals, but the Gyökereses, the Ezes, the Saka get actually bagging some goals, and that can kind of get us over the line, sort of thing. And when I look at Newcastle and I look at Crystal Palace, obviously I'm vexed because Spurs play Crystal Palace on Thursday. The Crystal Palace that have displayed themselves in probably the last couple of years prior to this season, I'm saying, Spurs, you're done out here. You're finished. Newcastle, even when they played City, a couple of times you're playing Newcastle. You know what to get in it with Eddie Howe and everything they do. But they ain't been on that this season. And it just makes it exciting, man. Like, excitement doesn't always need to be happiness. It's everything. It's excitement. It's nerves. It's fear of PTSD. But as I always say, when people talk, we're not Real Madrid. But when you talk about the numerous titles that previous Arsenal sides have won, or we mentioned the Champions League, right? So all the winners, PSG and Manchester City in particular, you had to get that first one. You have to get that first one. At some point, history hasn't been kind, and you've written kind of a new history, and that's where we're at. And what I would say to these boys is, bro, you lot there's been highs, there's been lows this season, but if I offered you lot this in August, you would have taken it. You've come too far to turn back. Just left foot in front of the right. Chase the illusion of perfection. There's evident things we need to improve them. Pat yourselves on the back for the good, and let's go. Don't let it, if you don't win this title, it is what it is. We'll hold all the banner, but don't have any regrets. Don't look back and think, that training session I could have applied myself. That game I was hiding. Just fucking go out there and leave it all out there, man, because that's how legends are made, bro. And you lot are far too good to not have silverware. You're some of the best players and the best squad I've seen in the Emirates era. But in history, not. When I say the word Rob Holding, the name Rob Holding to you, what do you think? You think of numerous clangers. You probably think of Mane and Salah. But when you're done with that, what do you sit there and think? Wembley, FA Cup stood up too. I want to say that about Magalhaes and this one and that one and the third. So go out there and do this thing, man.
No, you're right. And I actually sometimes think about that League Cup final, the way we talk about it. And you're right, these players haven't had that trophy together.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we can ignore the importance of that, because if they do go into the dressing room and they look at it and go, lads, this is it. Look at this. Look how we're feeling right now. Look what they could do in 6 weeks' time. And listen, that should spur anyone on. Do you know what I mean? That should spur anyone on. If you're winning a cup final, no matter what it is, that should spur them on to go, do you know what? Look what we can achieve this season. Let's put it, like you said, let's put it all out there together. Look at the work we've done. Look at the journey we've been on. Let's keep working. Let's relax. And then, boom, let's go. Because it might just, do you know what? And also, what's really important is the international break that soon follows.
We can breathe. Well, half our players are going to be playing for their countries, but still.
My point is, if you lose that, then it dwells. It's a
nasty feeling, man.
That's the only. There is no positive, but the only positive about Wolves was the fact that within 72 hours you were back on the pitch and you had to go and put it right.
Get out your system immediate.
That can't be getting out your system for 2 weeks. I mean, international football just won't eradicate that. So that's the only concern. I do think that game is bigger than people. Well, not bigger than people suggest, but emotionally, and what happens afterwards might be bigger than what people suggest. The game is actually the game. I think it'll be quite a tight game. I think it'll be quite an even game. But I do think afterwards there could be actually a little push psychologically here, there for both teams, and going away from the international break. Yeah, it might be good because you can forget about it. And I actually think it might be good, actually, if you do win it, because you actually go, right, forget about that. It's done.
Park off Arsenal. I'm going to whatever country I'm going to.
When I come back, I've got my Premier League, I've got my Champions League, and I'm still in the FA Cup. And then you just go, right, 1 month, let's go. And it could just be the best month. So let's navigate this month. Let's not look over, get carried away or, get complacent. Just keep going, keep the focus, write the legacy. But yeah, it's it's not a weird time. It is, but it is crazy.
It is weird. It's good weird. It's bad weird. It's the feeling of the past. It's the feeling of uncertainty. It's what we could achieve. It's, even me, you can't go back in time, but one does wonder. For me, if Mikel Arteta, specific for you in Mikel Arteta, if you approached the Liverpool away game and the Arsenal home game in either half a bit better, maybe we have something. For the players, Aston Villa comes to mind, Sunderland, several points where we could have done better, or certain times we've actually won, like you mentioned Wolves at the Emirates, where we could have taken them lessons and been better, but we can't go back in time. Yeah. The past brings regrets, the future brings uncertainty. We just got to live in the present now.
I agree. I have more sympathy with the Liverpool away game than I do with the City home game, for example. Because
I hear that. No, yeah, I'm the same. But I just think, that I remember that game vividly. I was like, somebody needs to come off. Like, when you can tell the temperature, it's like that game for me felt like I'm outside and it's, I need to get a bit of a jacket now. Like it's getting a bit cold, but I didn't put my jacket on. That being, you could see that either Zubi or somebody needed to come off, and Slot was a bit proactive. I'm not going to sit and say I could have predicted Shabazz banging in a free kick. You can't, but you can predict the steps before that. The first half against City, I'm on the manager, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
but there's many times it's with the players for me as well.
Yeah,
Wolves at home, Aston Villa away. That's on the guys.
But Aston Villa away, I actually thought that was a brilliant game of football. And
they gave a good shift. But when Mikel Arteta,
I thought,
but you know what it is with the gaffer,
he made the change at half time. He made 2 changes at half time, and he changed the flow of the game, and he changed the speed of the game. They made 2 changes, and then we lost control, and then we basically looked.
That's what I'm saying. It's the players.
Yeah, and we played for the 1-1. I agree with your point that on that game, Norgard probably could have come on, or someone could have come on, because I think Subi was a little bit tired in midfield. But you look at it and go, okay, Villa 1-1 at that moment in time, and I'm pretty sure
you can't win them all, and it is going to happen.
That was only our second defeat of the season, and that was December the 6th. And I was looking at
it. But that's where I'm with the gaffer, because the gaffer will always back his players. He's one of them guys. Yeah, it's like me and you are boys. I'm not gonna slag you off on the internet. Like if you did something and he's wrong, I'll be like, nah, Luke wouldn't do that. Off air, Luke, what the fuck you doing, man? Patting up. Arteta does that, innit? But then there's a couple of times he's brutally honest, and I think Wolves away, Wolves at home, Chelsea recently, actually, with some of his comments, and actually Aston Villa, when he keeps talking about, I don't know why they're sitting back. That's where I'm like, okay, players, there's many things I'm vexed about the gaffer, but at the end of the day, you're all big enough, old enough, ugly enough. The best players still have to govern each other. We all lap it up when we see Declan Rice and Gabriel having them to-ing and throwing and having a bit of a handbag. That's why I'm at the gaffer. But as you said at the beginning, and to conclude this, like, we're all in this together, bro. Like, sometimes the players, the gaffer's tactics might be shit. players get him out of there. Sometimes the players might have been shit. Gaffer's tactics are getting you out of there. Sometimes you lot might be all right, but us fans, we're nervous. Give us something to scream and shout about, like, oh, we're moving mad. Sometimes the players might be mad nervous, and it's down to our fans. We might even be nervous as well, but let's gas them up and see where we could go. Like, people don't understand it's a marathon, man. They say it, but a lot of things we've been speaking about, they don't take heed of it. It's just buzzwords.
But and this goes back. This isn't just a marathon of this season. This is a correlation of the work we've done over the years to get to this point.
Exactly.
And I've seen a lot of conversations on social media about Twitter about the direction of where the team's gone in terms of how they look on the pitch, from the technical control that we saw in 22-23 to 23-24 to 24-25 and now here. However, what I will say is obviously there's different variations, because obviously in 22-23 we had an unbelievable, very good 11, but the bench was very weak, and then Saliba and Tomiyasu got injured. So then, and we were out of all the cup competitions.
And we couldn't defend, let's be honest. We'll blitz you, and then, oh my God, what a save by Ramsdale. So we needed to do the dark arts, take the sting out of games, be better defensively and everything else.
And then 23-24, which was some of my favourite football, actually. I thought we were brilliant in that.
To the last day of the season, man.
That was cruel. But we were very, very good, and we had a very nice blend. However, even then, it was, the Bayern Munich game was, we lost the X factor a little bit. Against Bayern Munich, there were still little bits to learn. Don't forget, we played a majority of that season without a striker, in terms of we played the dual 10 system where we played with Odegaard and Havertz and Jorginho and Rice, and it worked really well. And then look, 24-25, sorry, we just wasn't.
Let's be honest, last year's a write-off, man.
It was a write-off. But do you know what? With all the injuries, with all the debacle of that January transfer window, we found ourselves maybe 15.
I'll say it before, bro. That season, the players, as much as I can nitpick, you weren't good today, you was great. You all, I have nothing but respect for everybody that participated in that year.
Yep.
Mikel Arteta, I respect you, but it's not that I disrespect you, but you and the decision makers that actually decide if we're buying footballers or whatnot, I'm vexed at you lot, because you lot told me we're cool with just getting top four. Obviously, Arteta on the sporting front wants to do stuff, but I genuinely think that January window, you bring in 1-2 players, or in any capacity, it gives us something. That told me, just as a naive fan with nothing, we can't catch Liverpool, but you also know we're not dropping out the top four. You couldn't have predicted the Champions League, but you probably had a see what you can do kind of moment. And the one does wonder. Obviously, it probably wouldn't have worked, because everything at any particular time happens for a reason, yeah. But one does wonder, that season you referred to, if we had the summer we just had that's just gone, if we had that summer then, one does wonder what we would have already had in the cabinet and what we're talking about now. But all you can use is the pain from the past, left in front of the right, and try and put it right this year, innit?
And that's the point. We've been close. We've had some moments. That 5-1 against City and the 3-0 at Madrid should mean so much more. So much more. I mean, yeah, I've just seen that comment. I'll never forgive 2025. I mean, we had 4 senior attackers fit. I mean, what was the fundamental thing? And then they tried to cover it up with PR for Zubamendi, but that didn't change anything. In fact, it made.
Remember the results, or better yet, the games. Like, I remember Nottingham Forest away. It's like we were just slugging along. We looked a bit lifeless still.
We were playing for the Champions League at that time. It became apparent. Yeah. Liverpool had dropped points, and we hadn't capitalised. So even in that moment, even when we went to Old Trafford, we drew 1-1. We just got past Chelsea 1-0. And it was tough. And we were playing those games at the back end, and you could just see we were just waiting to play for the Champions League. So but the Champions League, very nearly. We've got a perfect opportunity in this Champions League to do something special. And you know what? It would be very ironic how everyone is so desperate to win the title, and it's been 22 years. It would be very ironic that we just went from the backside and just became champions of Europe, and no one really batted an eyelid until we got to the semi-finals. Do you know what I mean? Because I still think that lots of people are fixated about the league, and rightly so, because we are top, and it's been a long time coming. But it would be quite funny if we won the League Cup for some reason, City beat us at the Etihad, and then just won the Champions League, because I don't know what I would do. And then you never know, next season might be the season we go in league. We can talk about next season. Right now, we have to focus on the present. What's that saying? Yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery. Today's a gift. That's why they call it the present.
No, I think you're facts with that. You said something, and I want to ask you. Yeah, I got my left hand, I got my right hand. You don't know, but it's going to make sense in a sec. But you don't know how the season's going to play out. But I can guarantee you, on one hand, the Premier League, the Champions League. Where you going?
Prem.
this is what I mean. There's no rights and wrongs, but it's very interesting because I speak to fans like around our age, fans older, whether it's not necessarily talking about the glory days, because obviously we want to end this drought in it, but it's been so long. We've been on even if you say it's been so long for the club or just the 4 years under Mikel Arteta when we've been in this conversation, they just want to kind of get that. But then there's also fans like myself that we've never won the Champions League. I'm happy to beat Real Madrid with a weakened side, which everyone likes to forget. But we're the biggest team, in my opinion, not to win it. And I've seen Chelsea do it twice when we should have done that. I've seen City do it. I've obviously seen PSG, different ways about going around it, oil money and all that kind of stuff. But I kind of want that. If you're asking me to pick for the players, Luke, I would say the Prem, because I don't want to have those conversations if we don't win the league, where we go from here and what happens, how we bounce back and all of that jazz. For myself, I want the champs. I could die a happy man. I've seen us win the Prem, whatever. Like, and let me ask you this, yeah, like on a scale of 1 to 10, Premier League, how confident are you with that?
1 to 10 confident. I'm about 7.5 towards an 8.
I'm a 6, you know. But a good 6, good that kind of 6. I know it's sitting on the fence a bit, but it's because I do think before I look at City or care about City, and I said this for the last 4 years, I think we have the ability to be our best friends or our worst enemies. Yeah. So you went with a 7.5, yeah. I went with a 6.
I just have infinite trust in them, and even like, and the whole message on Sunday should have been in that dressing room going, lads, we weren't great by the way, and we've won 2-1. Yeah, we had to defend against 10 men for 20 minutes, but they were like, listen, we weren't good yesterday and we just beat Chelsea 2-1. Use that and flip it as a positive.
Even the draw against Chelsea, they were champions and they were so amazing and they made them proud. We were absolutely vexed when we drew at Stamford Bridge, weakened team or not. So it tells you where both clubs are at.
No Saliba and Gabriel that day, by the way.
And we were still fuming. We were fuming with what we saw. Fuming. The gaffer was fuming as well, which tells you everything. But that's what I mean. And that's kind of why I asked you at the start about the media narratives. So where are you at on a scale of 1 to 10 with the champs?
Do you know what it is with the champs, bro? This is going to sound really weird. And I don't know, maybe people are going to be like, this guy, I don't know what he's on about. But I've grown up to just be scarred by Champions League football. Like when
we all have.
Yeah, but
let's be real. Our European history is shit, and it kills me to say that. But we're too big of a club. Arsenal fans, young and old, got more pain in Europe than any joyous moments.
It's just been making up the numbers, and we knew that push come to shove. You know, we might have a night at the Emirates and stuff like that, but we realistically were never going to win the Champions League and never equipped to win it. So it's been quite weird to see how it's changed over time. Even the fact that when we came back into the Champions League, we were one of the favourites, and I thought that's bizarre. That's absolutely bizarre. We can't be one of the favourites. We've barely been back in it. I thought the story of, winning on penalties against Porto was a massive moment, and playing against Bayern Munich, I knew that you saw the little fine margins and the small details in Champions League football. And listen, I'm talking about lessons learned, right? We've seen like Pep Guardiola go to Real Madrid and be like 5 minutes away from going through, and then Real Madrid scored 2 goals in a minute, and all of a sudden you're playing in extra time and you've lost the game and you're like, what is going on?
Fine margins, football, a 90-minute game is decided in both boxes. All the cliches come to reality now at this point in the season.
And I just think that there is still, and even the PSG game, I think even PSG last season, I think there's still so many lessons that we need to learn in the Champions League. So many lessons like that. Like, how can you come back from, I don't know, you've had complete control in the game, and then a click of a finger, it's completely changed. So I don't think we've actually had that. If you look at the PSG game, we won 1-0 down after 3 minutes, and they dominated that first 25 minutes, but we actually regrouped and we were actually okay. And then they had a couple of chances at the end. We had a couple of chances at the end. Go back at Paris.
The amicable performance in the 2 legs is just ultimately just cup football in it. You got to win. We didn't do that. We need some more stardust, in my opinion, for that.
So, I kind of just live in the moment with the Champions League. After beating,
I'm the same. You got to play it by ear.
Well, after beating Real Madrid, I got carried away. And I said, I think we're going to win the Champions League.
Yeah, you're not alone. And our bubble got burst when Dembele scored early doors. I think even our players looked a bit, not that they were complacent, but we're still, it might be happening.
But that was just we've just beaten Real Madrid home and away. I was like, we've just been the team that's won it 15 times. I was like, that was it. We've beaten them home and away. We're going to win it. I said, we're just going to win the Champions League. Like, there was no thought, there was no logic. It was just, oh my God, we're going to win the Champions League. It was more surprise, like, are we actually going to win it? And everyone was going, oh my God, they're going to win the Champions League. Like, they actually might win the Champions League. And everyone was like, look, PSG is not going to be easy. But there was that very question about what would you rather play, that Emery's Villa or, Luis Enrique's PSG. And I was like, yeah, I'd probably rather play PSG, even though they're exceptional, because you don't know about Villa, it's going to be awkward. But yeah, we learned lessons. So I don't know, man. Just ask me in the semi.
We got to get a number, man. Even the chat's been giving numbers. We got to get a number, bro. Where's the fun in that?
1 to 10 to win it.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I think
don't shoot me, Arsenal fans, yeah. And it's only because I want it so much and I believe in the champs is something, yeah.
What did I say for the Prem? What did I say? I said 8 for the Prem.
Yeah, you said 8. I thought you said 7.5, but if you said 8, fair play.
7.5, 8 for the. Do you know what? I don't know, because it would be quite ironic, because how bad I want the Premier League so much. It would just be so ironic if we just went and won the Champions League.
People say we're more set up to win the champs because of how teams set up and all of those kind of things. Our Champions League, fair enough. That I won't say the pressure hasn't been on, but the pressure hasn't been on in the champs this season. Now it's serious business, but that's one part of our season where it's been faultless, in it. You've been doing what needs to be done, really. At best, I could cry about not keeping the clean sheet against Kairat, but you've done your thing against Bayern, where you had to play Mascara, actually, because there was injuries and all of those kind of things. Into Gyökeres, you saw the relief of him and whatnot. So, yeah, man, you could say that. I'll give it a 4, though. I'm not going to lie. I don't really rate our Champions League chances.
I'll go 8 in the Prem, and I'll go 6.5 in the champs.
Fair. It's only because I want it so much. I just can't put my heart on the line. And I just know, to a degree, tactics, all of that kind of jazz matters. But I think the Champions League in this stage that we're entering and beyond, it comes down to just the basics. It's psychologically who can react to setbacks, who can weather those kind of storms, who can you look at to get you out of things. I do think you need a bit of stardust. Like, fair enough, if Saka was what he's doing, I'd have a lot more confidence. I just feel too many pennies need to drop in. You mentioned Real Madrid. That was one for the football purists. That was no, Arsenal's got no chance. Real Madrid in time, we shocked the world. Nobody knew Rice was going to do whatever. But then the PSG one, it comes down to what I believe reality of football is, like the competence, the ability to find margins, and can you take advantage of those, which we did have chances to do such. So because I believe so much, I have to say a 4, man. I know the run of the drawing, we're rated a lot more and get a lot more plaudits in Europe. I have to take a pessimistic view because I can't put my heart on the line.
But you know what
play it by ear.
But you know what it is, right? If you look at Liverpool at home, and then if you look at Chelsea in the semi-final second leg at home, listen, when we were under the cosh, Liverpool, we didn't give them anything. I know they were without Salah, Isak, and Ekitike. I get that. But it was a blueprint there. And Chelsea in the semi-final, again, I didn't think Chelsea did actually much attacking, but they had a lot of the ball. We did just soak it up and look quite comfortable. That is a very nice recipe in the Champions League. And we have got defenders that love to defend. We forget that. We have got defenders that love to defend. And also, do you know what's crazy?
Goals in games, man.
It's two legs. It's not easy to beat Arsenal in 90 minutes, let alone 2 legs. So if the worst comes to the worst, say, for example, we fall to a 2-1 defeat away at Leverkusen, I'm not really that concerned because we'll turn it around at the Emirates. I actually think sometimes the 2 legs against, even Atletico Madrid or whoever we get, look, I'm expecting it'll be a Spanish side, Atletico and Barcelona. We play away first, right?
Bring Barcelona.
Well, bring it.
I want revenge for 2006. Bring them.
But look at Atletico Madrid. I know the group stage games are played in a different way with the pressure, but look at the way how that was a tactical game. It was excellent. It was a chess match.
Simeone loves us,
Boom. Second half, we cooked them. And it just goes, wow.
Gyökeres scored with his bollocks in that.
Yeah. And who was running in midfield? Miles Lewis-Skelly. You can't stop him. And it was just like, that's interesting.
Zubi was key in that.
It wasn't with the result that actually was interesting. It was when we went the jump within 20 minutes. And we did it with Bayern as well. It was that intensity and that energy that it just comes from, okay, we've seen how they go. Rice was
talking about goal down as well.
We went 1-0 up, equalised.
Yeah, sorry, we conceded or something like that. Either way, we reacted to setback. Shout out to Noni.
And they had a better at the end of the first half. Kane was dropping in these pockets, and Ramos was saying I had to follow him and man to man, and they were playing. It's difficult to play.
One of the best tactical performances I've seen by an opposition team at the Emirates in a minute. Shout out to Company.
They were brilliant. They were brilliant. But do you know what? He even came out and said Arsenal were exceptional in the second half because Arteta changed it tactically and we pressed high and we went.
City need to get him when Pep calls it a day, in my opinion. If
So
Arteta left tomorrow, I'm Company and Luis Enrique are 2 on my list that I'll dream chase for.
yeah, I mean, Luis Enrique would be that'd be incredible. He's an incredible manager. But it's actually interesting when you think about it because even the Inter Milan game, and I know Bodo were exceptional, but even the Inter Milan game, the way we played against Inter Milan, how aggressive we were from the front. Do you know what? The more I think about it from tactically, and you've got the likes of Havertz in there, who I think is, those types of players are synonymous with the Champions League. And then I think Gyökeres, like I've mentioned. I think
Zubi's a key in the champs as well, man.
I actually think in European football, I don't know why, but they still don't double up with Saka as much. And so you have your wingers are still very much one-on-one. So look, it's a final. Things can change. Things can happen. You don't want it to be decided on a referee decision for either team. But do you know what the funny thing is? When I look at it and like you touch on the structure, you never know.
You never know. And this is why, I think we're both saying it in different ways, but the same thing. When it comes to the Prem, we're in a fight, but we're both of the belief we're in a fight. You whether you're in the driver's seat or not, bro, you can get this one over the line. Champions League, just do your thing, turn up on the day. Let's play it by ear, see where we're at and where we can kind of go with it. I look at the Champions League, how we probably looked at the 2022-23 season in that we didn't go into it thinking about winning the Prem, and obviously we didn't, but it's falling on your lap now, and you're like, oh, you know what? Maybe when life gives you lemons, let's try and make some lemonade in it. So that's how I look at that. I want the FA Cup in it. Like, I want everything, but we've won it 14 times. I feel since we last won it, we ain't really been given a good account of ourselves. I don't like the fact that United have 13. I know it's childish, but I kind of want to make some progress there. League Cup, we and you have been speaking about that, whether it's on TalkSport's platform or here. Nobody dreams to win the League Cup, but at the end of the day, we've got, an opportunity to kickstart this kind of winning feeling thing. And I don't know about quadruple in it, but I'd love to do it. But I don't see no reason why. 1 is the minimum. 2 is very realistic in terms of silverware for me, anyways. This year,
I still think it'd be League Cup and Prem.
Same, because you're in a final and not driving seat, but you're in a decent fight with City. They're the kind of ones I can reach out and kind of grab, if that makes sense. Champs is still unknown in it, and I do think. Going back to what we said about agendas, people are nasty as well, because another one is they bill us up in the chance, big us up, we're the favourites. And then they're the ones that say, oh, yeah, you lot said you was going to win the champs, your bottlers, etc., etc. FA Cup, there's still many twists and turns, isn't it?
They'll big us up to win the Champions League, but say we won't win the Premier League.
Exactly.
If they City are coming City, but people forget that in December, City were 2 points behind. Do you know what I mean? I say 2 points because if it could be 2 points. They were 2 points behind in December. It's now March. They're still 2 points behind. We're talking about the fact we've dropped points in various.
All we can do is keep this thing kicking up the road.
And we're still top. And we are still top. And we've got the beautiful opportunity to go there to the Etihad and show everyone we can do. And you never know, if we're in a position where we win at the Etihad and we're still in the Champions League and then, we won the League Cup, everyone might just go, oh dear, oh no. Because it might just go, oh, they might do something quite special here, but it's up to them. We will say we love them, we support them, we think they're brilliant, we live it through them. The highs.
Ultimately, they're the ones on the pitch, innit?
Yeah, and all we can do is.
And he's the one managing.
Yeah, I hear it, bro. I hear it.
But it is what it is, man. Luke, I've kept you far too long, bro.
It's springtime. Everyone's happy. Put some music on, relax. You don't think about it today, and then tomorrow we'll look to Brighton, and then we carry on. But yeah. We have to be ready, man. We have to be ready.
Stay ready. You don't need to get ready. Innit? There's going to be many twists and turns. I'm quite confident we'll be celebrating in May finally. But as Luke said there, we've got to go and get it done. Luke, where can people find you, man? I don't know why I say this to you all the time. Don't know why you ain't got your own YouTube channel. But where can people find you?
I appreciate it, bro. They can find me on Instagram, LukeHenry98, and they can find me on Twitter, Luke_Henry1. Some bits on there as well, all Arsenal bits as well. So yeah, they can find all of that, little clips from here, there, and everywhere. But no, I appreciate jumping on, man. I love.
And you're far too kind, man. He's always going on. I can never say the name of the app, Finalysis or whatever it is. Yeah, he's always fighting the good fight for us Arsenal fans when they're trying to do what they do against Arsenal fans on Sky Sports and whatnot. And he's obviously on TalkSport as well, man. He's downplaying. He's far too humble, man.
No, I appreciate it. No, it's good to listen, to represent the fan base is always good. And like you said, you got to be rational. You got to
They
be
don't
fair.
sell, but someone's got to do it.
Yeah, but it's the feeling that you have. You never sell a lie. When you grow up, you're never told to lie. So why should you lie now? Just believe what you say and come with reasoning and fact. That's what we do. So, no, I appreciate the people, their messages in the chat and stuff. And yeah, hopefully, like everyone's on the same page. But listen, it's gonna be a good end to the season. I just think the more I think about it now, I've got this funny feeling now that we might win the Champions League just off the base of this last chat.
Stop, man. Stop. Because I don't want to start thinking about this. I don't want to start thinking. Before the stream, I just had my head in Brighton, like Brighton Seagulls. Brighton Seagulls. I'm not thinking about nothing else.
It's because I don't really think I'm the same as you. It's because it's still a dream for me. The Premier League is a pain. I think there's
Prem feels a bit like you said there as well, but Prem feels like I can reach out and grab the Prem, provided everything falls into place. Champions League is not. And maybe I downplay our chances, but it's one I can't really see. It's like stepping into a road, and I can't really see it.
It's the field of unknown. When I was growing up, when I was growing up, everyone used to say, when he sees his team win the Premier League. No one really said when he grows up and sees Arsenal win the champs. So I've been brought up with, when am I going to see winning the Prem? And then we've had title races in 07, 08, 13, 14, even 15, 16. You're like, but I thought we were meant to. And it's like, well, no. But I was like, but when? Because I've been waiting for. And then you work and you understand that football doesn't work like that. And then you look at Liverpool and they go, well, we didn't win it for 30 years. I know Manchester City are different, but it was 44 years since they won the division. And then you look at the Man United and you're thinking, they've not won it since 2013. And you're thinking, oh no. So then that's where it's like, oh my God, it's been 22 years. Like, when are we going to win? And people go, I don't know. Even Chelsea.
And a part of me will only believe we'll win the Prem when I actually see Arteta and the boys lifting it. And even then, it probably might not. It probably, like, by God's grace, we get to the parade in May, yeah? It probably won't sink in for me until the season, like a week before the season starts in August. Or maybe when I see the team on the parade. We've been on a journey, innit? And if it doesn't happen now, it never will. I know we've been saying that for time, or I definitely have been saying that for a minute, but left foot in front of the right. We can't get too down, too up. Just keep doing what we're doing. Earn the right, because realistically, we've done nothing at this moment in time. We're still in all comps, but we've done nothing. We've not mathematically won anything. So,
no. And it could be very different for positive and negative reasons by the end of the month.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
Yeah, 2026. But
you know what? Last question. I don't want to leave Wayne hanging, because he's a Liverpool fan, but he's always on the channel. So big up yourself, Wayne. Who's your top four? So we'll do this quickly, innit? In no order. Arsenal, City.
Yeah.
I reckon United, Fourth, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm going to say Liverpool. A couple weeks ago, I would have said Chelsea.
Chelsea have got they've got discipline problem. Also, I think he's a very good player, but I don't think Cole Palmer is fully fit.
Clearly not.
That's
probably needs surgery.
Yeah, that's a concern that for them. It just doesn't, even at the Emirates. I've got to say just quickly, at the Emirates, when you were there and watching them live, João Pedro and Reece James.
Yeah, mustard. Absolute mustard.
Caicedo, I didn't really get much from him, but I guess that was the way they were playing.
He just for once he wasn't in the headlines for the wrong reasons, innit? He was okay. Reece James, mustard of a footballer. I hope he stays fit, especially going into the World Cup. Pedro had a good battle.
He's very good.
But that's what I mean about GA, because people will do the banter thing, because I've seen that happen with Eddie and Nketiah and Gyökeres. Like, they didn't get goals. João Pedro didn't score or assist. Yeah, people will do that. He's got no stats. But if you actually watch the game, he had a good battle. And I also feel we're in this weird scenario, where obviously I think Gabriel Magalhaes and Saliba had a good game. João Pedro, I've just said, have had a good game. We're in this weird scenario where an attacker playing against a defender, both can't have a good game. It's like one had to be terrible, the other had to be good. This is my frustrations with lazy analysis or just the current landscape of football rhetoric, if I'm honest.
No, I completely agree. It's like Victor Gyökeres. I thought Victor Gyökeres was very good in the first half and what he did. However, in the second half, when the team physically dropped, he didn't get a lot. So then he became redundant, and then therefore we had to take him off and change the way we were playing. And that's why Arteta went with Havertz, and then the game changed again when they had Pedro Neto sent off. But yeah, you can look at players and think, I think they had a good game in both teams. But quickly digress there, didn't I? Top four: Arsenal, City. Yeah, United. I probably will say it. I watched United and they were poor in that first half. I'm not sure they would have got anything out of it.
Jamming out them results, man. They're grinding them out, playing once a week as well. Everyone else is in bare things.
That might be their detriment. That's the only thing
That's also, yeah, you're right, because you're also cold in that. And to be fair, even you would have thought in the Crystal Palace game, yeah, Crystal Palace would have get team playing 1 game a week, and United were in Europe. It was flipped on its head. That's what I mean when I mentioned earlier in that we're just at that part of the season. People are mentally tired, physically tired. This one's got a knock. This one's got a knock. All of these kind of things. And I'll tell you, are right. It is the most exciting part of the season. You know, like that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be happy, but it's a whirlwind of emotions, this Premier League, and we're in the last stretch.
Yeah, and then top 5. Well, it's difficult, you know, because Villa are not in good form. I still think, I don't know, because Emery might prioritise Europe.
That's why I think they're not going to finish top 5, because I think Emery's just going to go, yeah, this is my competition, focusing on Europe now. Injuries are shaking them. I know they're getting some players back, but it just feels like things normalize themselves out. I always think there's swings and roundabouts in it, in that there was a point this season and we earned the right, yeah, but remember that period where there was no shots on target, we were just winning. You remember we mentioned Wolves, where we're a bit fortunate to beat them at the Emirates. Sometimes I think when that works for you, and other parts it goes against you, type of thing. And I think every team's kind of had that. That's where I'm kind of vexed with us, because I think we can't have a bad run now, because where we're at in the season, I think you look at Villa, their start was terrible. Liverpool have had their, I know they're not retaining the title, but they were great at the start, fell off a cliff, kind of got their ship together. United in August went out to Grimsby. We're talking about them in top 4. Chelsea were poor. When we played them and we drew against them, they're in a title race. Now look at where they are. Sunderland and Brentford, blisteringly good at the start, still doing well. Bit of normalization around that. You could even say Leeds of recent as well. But that's what the league's about. And then maybe, you know, when people want to sit there and say the league ain't that great, based on the examples I've given, and I'm sure you lot are thinking of such, it can't just be Arsenal winning the league. Then maybe it's just the whole league is not as good as you think it is. But that doesn't fit narratives, my boy.
No, people don't like change, bro. And I think people think it's actually a very competitive league and every team can beat everyone.
Yeah. Nothing's decided. Top 4's looking mad. The league title looking mad. Relegation, Europa League, top half finish. Nothing's decided.
Look, Burnley will go down.
Yeah.
It's me. They draw too many football matches. They're not that bad. Generally, they're not actually that bad.
Unlucky against Brentford the other day.
Wolves have got 4 players that I expect to be playing in the Premier League next season. Who else? West Ham. West Ham have got a fair few decent players. Every team's got quality in the Premier League.
Crystal Palace shouldn't be where they're at this moment in time. They're not in a relegation race, but Newcastle have had a crap season, full stop.
Yeah, it's because it's difficult. You've got to be on your game every week. And then you look at our wobble, and it consists of probably, 2 draws, Liverpool, Forest, a defeat at Man United, and then I wouldn't even put the draw in Brentford in there, because I actually think the draw was actually okay, because it's not okay, but given the performance, it wasn't.
You can't win them all type thing.
But Wolves was we all know what Wolves was. It wasn't good enough. But that's only 4 games, really, and that's the wobble we're talking about. You know what I mean? I don't look back at Liverpool. I don't really look back at City or Villa, because those things can happen. Those ones when we had opportunities to pull clear. There's only 4 games, so we talk about a wobble of 4 games. Yeah, come on, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. Let's go Arsenal, City.
Yeah,
of course, the narrative is that Arsenal aren't very good and don't deserve to be where they are. But
for a team that ain't good, bottlers, training ground manager, training coach, manager, this player's overrated, that player's overrated, the fans are unbearable. If you know all of this and whatnot, and you're always talking about us, we either can't be that bad, or the hate that you have, the line is quite thin between hate and love, or you actually do rate us. Like, I challenge any, and again, football's universal. You should be able to talk about anything and anyone and all these things. But I challenge any media publication, any TV channel, any YouTuber who doesn't support my team. If you truly believe that about Arsenal Football Club, don't talk about us, or decrease your output of talking about us, and then show me or look at the back end of your YouTube videos or any engagement, and then you're gonna have your thing. It's all the range in it, but most hated and rated.
It might be a fear thing.
100%. It's copium.
But what I mean by that, it might be a situation where if Arsenal do win it, either the league or the Champions League, or win the league and the League Cup, whatever. I don't think what rival fans want to do is go, yeah, but look what Arsenal did under Arteta. That's why we need a long-term manager. That's why we need longevity. I don't think people want to say that. And that's why I think that's where it comes from, where they're cheering on Manchester City, because you can hide behind that and go, yeah, but Pep's one of the greatest of all time. Look at the money they spent. But if their club goes, oh, we've looked at what Arteta's done for Arsenal and the journey they've been on, people will go, they have to use Arsenal as the blueprint. And I don't think people want to do that. And I think it will pain Chelsea fans, United fans, any fan really, to be like in the conversation going, yeah, but we have to look at Arsenal, what Arsenal did. And then maybe it will change. And that will be quite ironic because, listen, we can say what we want, but I've always had, look, you know, Chelsea, I used to hate Chelsea back in the day, but you had to respect the way they went about winning things. You know,
they won. Everyone wants to win shit.
Not now, but then they just won. So, you know, now it's like, like that Chelsea team, like, it used to infuriate me. But deep down, you had an element of respect because you knew they were going to win. But it will come to that, because when Arsenal win at the end of the season, they'll go, do you know what? Deep down, fair play to them, because they stuck by him. They built the project. They built the platform. They revitalized Arsenal and made Arsenal again, off the pitch and on the pitch. And now they've ended it by winning trophies. So fair play to them. But people don't want to say that. But they will say it, because deep down they'll go, oh, okay, yeah.
They don't even have to say it. Do you know what will make it? Do you know what make it better? You don't even have to say it. You can go on social media and do the Braveheart thing. But at some point, when it's just you alone in your room or you with your thoughts, in life, you have to be honest. And you're going to have to be honest about my football club. You won't have to utter that. But you and God will know what you said. And I will be, that is something I need our teams to win. I need our team to win, because that is something that I'm going to relish in. I would love it if we beat them, or whatever Kevin Keegan said, man. But let's just keep it going, Luke, man. But yeah, Luke, I've had you too long, man. It's a pleasure. We waffling for a couple of hours if I keep you any longer, man. It's always a pleasure, man. Once again, let people know they can find you as well, man, because we kind of skipped over it.
Luke Henry 98 on Instagram, and then Luke_Henry1 on X, Twitter, whatever you call it. Yeah, you can find me on those.
And look out for him on TalkSport, and I can never say it. Fanatics.
Just say Sky Sports, bro. That's what you need to
do. Yeah, Sky Sports. Yeah, because let's just say Sky Sports sounds better, and you're actually on Sky Sports a lot. So make sure you're keeping a word out. Follow him on his socials. Let us know. I know you lot have let us know in the comments what you're saying. Leave a comment under the video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And big up Luke for being here, and big up myself for hosting this. But extra big up to you lot, because you lot are the ones listening it. Without you lot, there's no hope in it. Like, you lot give me confidence that there are people out there that can have a laugh and a joke and just be honest and have decent conversations. So yeah, man, up the Gunners. Hopefully we beat Brighton. Luke, enjoy your day. Chat, enjoy your day. We're out. One love. In a bit. You always